support local film. We have some interesting news today talking about historical films and how it influenced modern Air Force. Want to tell more about that, Hunter?
Well, I don't know if it's considered historical if it's Top Gun, Julia.
What? Okay. Top Gun is historical. What are you talking about?
Top Gun is a bro film, but it did inspire a lot of people to become Navy and Air Force pilots. And now that it's Memorial Day weekend when we're filming this, I hope everyone's at a barbecue or remembering their friends and family who served. Thank you, everyone, for your service, by the way.
Yes.
When Top Gun came out, it was a big cultural hit, right? It shows really the power of movies. So now that Top Gun Maverick's out, we're getting all these stories from people who are actually inspired by the movie to go join the Top Gun program in the Navy and become pilots. So CBS, our local CBS affiliate, just did a story on this, and they interviewed two people named Bonner and Percival. And if you want to look up their call signs, it's Thumper and Kemo Sabe.
It's beautiful. I love that.
I've heard that call signs are an art, and I think if that's the ones you come up with, that's very creative, at least.
Very much so.
But really, we're just excited by the power of cinema. If you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, we're obviously not being paid to say this, but it's all about creativity. It's all about people having their passion, and passion being shown through cinema. So. Yeah. It's amazing to see two people who are inspired just by a movie to go and be Navy pilots. It really shows what the power of being in a movie is.
It's very true. I mean, films influence me a lot. I remember growing up with Titanic and just like wanting to go find, the ship, just
I'll do that cool James Cameron stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, just like the way that movies can influence you and motivate you and get you to explore your passions and everything. That's one of the reasons why we're so excited to introduce our guest today, who's doing exactly that. He is motivating people through his film. Today we have the creator and the head of Mile High Films, Chris Barron. Feel free to introduce yourself, Chris.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me today.
Yes.
Happy to be here. My name is Chris Barron, and I am a filmmaker. No. I've been...
Really?
Yes, I'm...
Wow.
Yes. I'm happy to be here. I operate Mile High Films, and it's a video production company based here in Denver, and been kind of operating here for the last 9 years, and love every second of it. Have so few complaints. I'll start to just say nice things over and over again. Feel free to cut me out when I start to repeat myself about how much I love Denver.
Well, we already love you, Chris, not only because you came bearing gifts, very cool Mile High mugs.
It's double-sided, guys.
They're double-sided, which, that's when you know the mug is classy.
It's version 2.0, I'm telling you. Those are the upgraded ones. You're going to love them. They're great for dog food, pens, whatever you need.
Ooh,
so tell us, can you buy that on your website?
No. This is much too special for that. This is much too.
Wow.
There's only a handful of these in the world. You guys, come on, please.
Wow.
Now I have to make sure it doesn't get broken in my car. With the way I drive, I've broken so many coffee mugs.
I just felt like I had to give you guys something because you're going to let me ramble at you a little bit. It's the least I can do. So.
Well, we want you to ramble at us because you have some amazing things going on. You have a new documentary coming out called Race America.
I do, yeah.
Why don't you tell us about it?
I'm excited about it. It's probably the coolest project I've worked on in 20 plus years. I'm thrilled. It's the story of a race car driver based here in Denver, an African American man named Rob Holland. And there's so few African American racers at the professional level. To meet Rob and learn that he's based in Denver, I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Because I want to put you on film. You're awesome. I saw him on another program promoting a race he does called the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, which if you're not familiar with that, it's definitely worth a Google. It's an insane event. Happens every year in a few weeks. But when I met with Rob about that, he said, well, I am doing the Pikes Peak again, and we can do that. But I'm also doing this championship, and I'm currently leading the championship. And I've got 7 more races to go. And I said, tell me more, because this sounds like a great project. And it turned out to be the best thing I've ever been involved with. I loved every second of it. And as somebody that has a new passion for racing and never been into racing in my life, it was a whole new world, and it was such a thrill to be a part of it.
That is awesome. And, we were just talking, and you have experience outside of Denver And I am curious because when you look at the trailer for and just some of the projects you've done, you can tell, you've been around. And I know that you started in New York and then went to Phoenix, right? And then ended up here. Tell us a little bit more of what encouraged you to explore all these different industries and how that led you here.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I've kind of I've always, to be honest, I've always prioritized quality of life above all things, and that led me out of New York pretty fast, to be honest. After I graduated, I moved away, and it was right after 9/11, so it was a tough time to get into the industry, and I found myself in Phoenix, being as a production assistant, and kind of worked my way up from there, and really took to the lifestyle of a freelancer in the secondary type media market, where you don't have big stages or lots of shows or even union work. Frankly, it's just commercial to commercial, gig to gig, video, whatever, anything to keep getting by, and pardon me, that just really suited my lifestyle. It suited the way I enjoy our industry, which is to dabble my feet in a little bit of everything, and be more of a jack of all trades than a master of one. And that suits, I think, suited my ability to stay busy in a secondary market like Phoenix. And then when I came to Denver in 2014, and since then, the same skills have continued to serve me well here, and which is that, when shooting dries up, I'm able to edit. When that dries up, maybe I can go out and do a pro bono thing, and that'll turn into something. I mean, it's very much kind of being able to hustle your way through, through the year.
So do you think that's the advantage, is that it might make it easier to a little scrappy around and make your own kind of platform, business, and your own reputation compared to a bigger market?
It really depends on what you enjoy in the industry. I like I said, I like being a part of everything. I like touching every part of the production that I can, and that's not going to happen if I'm doing X-Men 7. Not that I was ever in a position to be a director of that caliber, but my point being that if you specialize in one thing, that can take you to the ceiling of that department. Right. Whereas if you are learning, if you're learning a little bit of everything, then yes, you are scrappy and you can do things yourself. And and that suited me more than a specialization, I'd say, at a young age. Yeah.
Speaking of young, you do not look your age.
I am very old. I am very wise and old.
We made this interesting conversation earlier about how Denver actually made you younger.
Yeah, no, you should have seen me. I mean, yeah, it's like I've done like a whole Benjamin Button thing since graduating from film school. I was like, you should have seen me 8 years ago when I came out of Phoenix. Denver is the fountain of youth. It has restored me.
Do you think that has a little bit to do with the freedom now?
Yes, it's definitely great to be, to go out in a small crew situation with no client, no agency producer, and maybe somebody that's like, hey, I just need you to do something like this, and I'll be back in a couple hours, and you're like, all right, what am I going to do? I've got a conversation with two people that don't want to be on camera. I'm in a tiny white room. I've got a half an hour, two cameras. I got what am I going to do? Those kinds of challenges are awesome and exciting, and you're not going to get those if you're working as a PA on Law and Order, whatever. You get different challenges. You get other awesome, fun challenges, but you don't get those challenges. And I like that. I like being able to say, like, all right, well, I'm gonna do the light over here real quick, and I'm gonna set the audio real quick, and I'm gonna get my shot over here real quick, and then I'm like, wow, I did a great job, and it looks not that great, but I did in half an hour, and that's awesome. And that is like a small victory that instead of just being like, oh, I'm shooting a training video today, it's like, wow, I just killed that in 30 minutes. That was amazing. So that's the kind of stuff that I think you get more of in Denver and Phoenix than what I expect you'd find in New York or LA.
Well, it seemed to work out for you because you have client bases from everywhere from Metro State to Lyft to all different kinds of different corporations. So what is your relationship with these bigger companies like that?
I've been lucky to work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries and people and things like that. And the relationships that usually come my way are not through an agency. They'll be more direct to client, and so that is going to cap the awesome, the scope of the work. Maybe I'm not. So there are plenty of those companies that are on that website that have like agencies of record and do, like Lyft, for example, is a company that will have an agency of record and do massive giant stuff. But then they're also going to need to do some smaller stuff too. And so that maybe won't go through the agency of record and, a production company, as opposed to just going to, or, as opposed to just being like, hey, you're that one guy that does that one thing all by himself, and you can hire like 4 people and get it done in a half day. Okay, great. You go do that.
In a market like this, what's the value of that? Because you're not just bringing jobs here, you're bringing a day of employment for you and for your buddies.
I mean, for me, I from a business standpoint, so I've been kind of like a one-man production shop for about 15 years now. 15 years. And I think I stay in business because I'm, I don't have a lot of overhead. I don't have a building. I don't have staff. I bring subcontractors in to assist me. I have great, awesome, amazing crew of people that assist me, of course. But in terms of like business, it's been just about keeping things small and keeping the lights on.
Yeah, I feel like it's easier also to work with less people, especially if you know them really well. We had a good friend of ours, Manuel, for the 48-hour film fest, who he's like, you got to know your crew. You got to know people you're already going to work with. And I think even in not just a 48-hour film, but like even in professional productions for commercial or like short films, just it makes it so much easier. So how did you meet your crew here in Denver?
Oh, I mean, that's just calling around and enjoying the kind of resources that you guys promote. Different like the CFVA, for example, obviously LinkedIn, things like that.
I love them.
But I'll say that it has not been a challenge to find good crew in Denver. That's never been an issue. And there's always so many great people, and we're lucky to have them.
So tell us more about Race America.
Yeah, so Race America was a project that I talked with about Rob. I spoke to Rob about because he told me he had this great championship season kind of developing, and I thought, what, even if he doesn't win the championship, just telling this story is something that I would want to see. I work on a lot of things that frankly I would not want to watch like on a Saturday night by myself. This is something that I want to watch. Like Race America is like, what do I want to see? And the reason that I think it's a cool project is that frankly minorities are underrepresented in motorsport, and it's a big issue. There's certainly some high profile individuals like Sir Lewis Hamilton in Formula One, but there are, especially when it comes in this country, it's just not very common. And you can walk around a race paddock, and see all the trailers and all the mechanics and everybody, and it's a lot of white guys. It really is. And so that this show is not. I think I started out with lofty ambitions of being like, I want to examine the causes and find out, I'm going to have an expose on race in motorsports and things like that, and go huge. And really, like, I'm like, what? That's not what this story is. That's not the story that I'm wanting to tell. What I think is valuable at this point with Race America, and the reason that it came to life in the way that it did, I think, is that it's just about telling an awesome race car story with an African American at the center of it. And it's not around NASCAR, it's not around Formula One, it's about sports car racing. And so it's a side of racing that people might not have seen a lot of, and they definitely haven't seen a lot of an African American doing the business on the track. So that's where it came from.
Well, this driver, Rob Holland, he has one of the best crews in the business. When we saw the trailer, we were so impressed because just of the amazing work he does, how fast he drives, and the crew he's brought together, that not just the most diverse, but some of the best people he could have possibly brought in one room to just create the fastest car. So
it's a very unique story. So not only is he an African American driver, but he has as a personal mission, wants to increase diversity in motorsport, and not just behind the wheel, but under the hood as well, in the office. And so his crew chief is Brian Ma, an Asian American who is unbelievable. He's got David Middleton, is a data engineer, is a African American, unbelievable guy. So they are literally the most diverse crew on the grid. And I think that alone made it a unique story, and then it ended up just being a lot of fun. So. Yeah,
I bet being like on the set of like the race car and everything, that had been so thrilling, just seeing all the cars running. And you got a lot of B-roll too, of like actual live Race car track. What was that like?
Yeah, so I got to go to a bunch of racetracks, and I had never been to a racetrack before. I showed up to start filming on day one at Virginia International Raceway, and I could not believe, they were. I'm like, okay, well, do I have to go to like a safety meeting or anything? They're like, no, just wear this little orange thing, and you just don't go on the track. I'm like, don't go on the. Yeah, I wasn't gonna go on the track, They're like, but you can go right up to that edge. You can go past the pit wall, go all this. I'm like, oh my god. And so it's the I'd filmed the practice sessions, and that's intense. They're figuring out the setup. But then qualifying is a short session where the cars have to go for it. They got like 15 minutes to get the best lap in, and so it's get out there and to the limit. And I was kind of standing at the along the pit straight, or along the main start finish straight. And the first car went by me, and I immediately like bit down so hard. This sound ripped through me completely. I cracked a tooth on the very first car, and it was like, okay, this is real. You better batten down the hatches, because that was car one, qualifying session one, and so it ended up being a whole new level of documentary intensity for me. And I loved it. So.
That's amazing. What were the people like?
Fantastic, it was nice. It's not IndyCar, it's not Formula One, where there's a huge amount of media presence. I mean, most of there is so it's the race series that he's in is called SRO, and they broadcast the races. So there's definitely media teams around, but there's not throngs of people. There's probably as many people working on the race teams of all the different series that weekend as there are in the stands. I mean, it's not a huge spectator sport. Yeah, it ends up being really fun because there's not that pressure. Everyone's in a good mood. It's the weekend. We're watching race cars. The weather's nice. It's you get a few people that are uppity, but almost everybody was super generous. And then in terms of people that were on camera, everybody was incredibly cool to work with. I was very hesitant because I was so new to everything. I was like, can I talk to you for a second? And everyone's like, yeah, go ahead, man, it's okay.
Well, we really love the idea of Race America. We can't wait for it to come out, and it just dominates every single film festival in the world.
Thank you. I definitely would love to see it at the Denver Film Festival. That is the goal.
Well, the Denver Film Festival might just love your piece.
I hope so. We shall see.
We shall see. They do all love the best movies, so you might just make the cut. So today, we have something really exciting for you. We love to play games on this podcast.
Game time.
I'm terrified of this part, but I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready.
So we came up with a game for you because of Race America. We came up with a game called As Fast as You Can. Awesome. Are you ready to play As Fast as You Can?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this is trivia questions about everyone's favorite racing movies. Question 1. This remake starring Nick Cage is about stealing as many cars as you possibly can. And it's considered one of the most Nick Cagey movies ever. So here are your options. Is it A, Drive, B, Gone in 60 Seconds, C, Grand Prix, or D, Stolen?
It's Gone in 60 Seconds. I think that is B.
Well, I'm so glad you got that because we now have to explain the rules of this game.
Okay.
If you lose as fast as you can, if you don't get 2 out of 3 questions right, we kick you off, and then we go start talking about all these racing movies and racing in America. And I have never watched NASCAR in my life, so you don't want that, Chris, do you?
I'm gonna try to keep in the seat. I don't want to get kicked off as fast as I can.
Just stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane.
Right.
Question 2: the car is alive. We all love a good horror flick, but this one might make us tighten our seatbelt and get our cars detailed more often. This horror flick brings a female-named car to life and starts running down people the car doesn't like. Is it A, Bethany, B, From a Buick 8, C, Christine, or D, Laura Dern?
I'm positive it's Christine, but I like some of those other answers better. So.
I wish it was Lauren Dern.
Well, I mean, one day.
I think Bethany is more terrifying.
Yeah, if the car was like a VW Beetle and it was named Bethany.
I think that'd be awesome. But no, Christine, I'm pretty sure.
You would be correct.
Oh
However, I would really hate to be the guy who got run over by a car named Bethany. So maybe that's the sequel, right?
That's right.
From the people who brought you Christine.
Bethany.
Now, Bethany.
She's got reverse, you know.
Yeah. No, or maybe it's like Bethany.
Yeah.
Okay, question 3. This movie features Michael Caine, Mini Coopers, in the city of Turin. Is it A, Alfie? Is it B, Batman Begins? Is it C, Jurassic Park? Or is it D, The Italian Job?
It's D, The Italian Job.
Oh my gosh.
Which Italian Job?
That's the remake. Oh no, he's in the original. I'm sorry, Mark Wahlberg is in the remake, and I don't even think they go to Italy in the remake. I haven't seen either of them.
They wouldn't go to Italy in the remake, the Italian job.
I thought they didn't. I thought they were in like Brazil or something like that. I thought it was a total like mistake. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Sorry.
The original movie is with Michael Caine. It has Mini Coopers in it, and it's that they're like this very excellent crew of people who are going to steal this diamonds or whatever the heck it is, and they're going to escape using Mini Coopers, the most improbable car.
Oh my gosh. So my friend got a Mini Cooper and she's like 4'8", and it just worked perfect for her. She fit like a glove. So that's what I think of when I think of Mini Coopers, is mini people. They're
awesome. They're amazing cars. People drift them. They throw them around like racquetballs. It's crazy.
You can get a stick shift Mini Cooper too.
Oh my goodness. Those things are great.
I love stick shifts now. I could be a race car driver.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Oh, okay. Because you got a stick shift, you think you're going to be Formula One, huh?
Okay, I got a 1998 Beretta. Okay, people see it, and I start getting hit on by guys. It's bizarre. I could be a race car driver.
Well, while Julia fantasizes about her new career path outside of Denver film, we are so excited that you're watching today. We have Chris Barron from Mile High Films. He doesn't just have awesome mugs that he gave us, but yay. He also has an amazing documentary called Race America coming out soon, and we'll talk more about the Denver film industry and market when we get back. Thanks for watching.
Okay, what's a bear without ears? It's just a bee. Oh, Hunter, you're too kind. I know I'm the best host ever. Oh, just so kind. Oh, just so kind. Hunter isn't here right now, but he will be every Wednesday, and so can your ad. That's right. We are here to share all the local film news. Any event that you have, we would love to promote it. Also, if you have a production that needs funding or that needs more exposure, hit us up at filmhound@gmail.com. We would love to chat with you. Remember to stay creative, Colorado.
Welcome back to Support Local Film, presented by Filmhound. Julie and I can't keep it together this weekend. We promise we haven't had too many Shirley Temples. We're here with Chris Barron.
The mugs are just brimming with sugary drinks.
Sugary drinks. No, who let them get energy drinks? Our mom is just in the corner being like, why'd you let them have that, Chris?
That's right.
It's your fault.
Slippery slope.
Oh, gosh.
Red Bull's the gateway.
Yeah, gateway to making sure that all my exams for college got done.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the only reason I kept my grade point average. It's Red Bull. It did give me wings that day.
I'll never complain about it. I think it's great.
Us filmmakers need caffeine. It's just a
absolutely. Any means necessary.
So a movie we want to see, just so we can get inspired by it, is the Denver film industry growing and thriving. And Chris, you might have a really good perspective on this because you come from Phoenix. You went to film school in New York, and then you came back to a secondary market like us. So what motivated you to do that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think that I like the quality of life. I mean, Denver is the best city in America, and there's I mean,
yes.
you start with that, and then you work backward. You know, like, okay, well, I want to go to the best city. All right, well, that's why I'm in Denver, and that's that. You know, but as far as like being a filmmaker in Denver and why that is worthwhile, because of all the great things that Denver has to offer in terms of like beauty and nature and culture and all these great things. We are a happy bunch around here. Like, we people say yes to things. They want to get stuff done. We are an energetic group, and the Colorado lifestyle draws you in. That is true of our industry, I think, as well. So, I mean, I don't have to work very hard to find good crew members here. I don't have to work very hard to find good locations here. I don't have to, hear no very often, frankly, if to be honest, compared to other places. So there's so many things that make it easy and, convenient to be a filmmaker in Denver that it's hard to say like, oh, well, yes, I wish I put it this way. I get sometimes frustrated personally that I'm not working on like giant music videos, for example. Like I would love to work on like like a Foo Fighters video or something huge. I think that'd be really cool. I've never gotten to do anything like that, and that's probably not going to come my way unless I get really lucky, and like the phone rings and it's some weird connection or something like that. Just that kind of work I don't think is coming through here very often. It's not something I've done before, so maybe I'll get lucky. But whenever I get a little bit frustrated about not being able to do a project like that, the next day I'm going out with my own gear, and I'm my own producer director, my own DP. Maybe I have a couple guys with me or crew members, but maybe not. And then I'm my own editor, and I'm working on my own schedule. And that autonomy has been my very favorite thing about the way that I've had my career.
Well, I might just disagree with you about I love Dave Grohl. I would love to see the Foo Fighters. He gave the best interview to NPR's Terry Gross last year because he played all of his old songs. So I was like, that's so cool. But we have our own groups. Like I did a music video with a local band last year. They're called Mr. Atomic, and it's not Foo Fighters, but it was a really thrilling experience. Just like you talked about, I had my DP, I had one of my most favored people to collaborate with, and we were just out there making a music video, making it happen, all pitching in. So I think that's the opportunity. We have to be our own Foo Fighters, right?
Yeah.
And I'll, as a quick aside to that, when I recognized that I hadn't done a big music video, it's like, well, that's more about wanting with that to quality. That was two things. It was wanting to see a giant Hollywood level production that is executed in like 2 days, which I think would be interesting to see that build up and shoot and be done. But it also had to do with not having done much music stuff at all, right?
Right.
And so instead of then being like, oh darn, and wait for that phone to ring, I was able to connect with Swallow Hill Music in Denver. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the organization, but they're a nonprofit community music organization, kind of specializes in folk music, but they're a music school and they put on concerts. They are one of the reasons that I love Denver so much. I mean, organizations like Swallow Hill are what I think make Denver what it is. And so I was able to go to them and say, hey, I've got what can I do for you? What do you need? And you need some videos where teachers talk about classes? Great. You need somebody to shoot a fundraiser for you? Great. And by doing that, I get all the music I can handle, and it's all amazing stuff. It's like these amazing artists that maybe aren't like on the radio or whatever, but in terms of like through my lens and to my ears, it's unbelievable, and it's definitely filling that need I had to shoot some good music.
Well, that's exactly it. Like what you said, like, what do you need me to do? It's really being in this kind of industry. It's really more serving than being like, okay, picky, because we can't really be picky when there's not a lot of opportunity out there. But when there is, we need to come through and show that we're there and that we're interested, and that we see potential here, and be the example of, hey, I'm going to help make this happen. Like, what you do with Grand Design. Hunter works with Grand Design, and he really helps them out quite a bit. And then, like, we talked with Avant.
Okay, we're going to practice your French. Ready?
Okay.
Avant-garde. There you go.
Yes! Yeah, but there's just organizations. There's a lot of art out here. There's a lot. Like, if you go to First Friday, which we've talked about and we've covered before.
Oh, we love First Friday.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah.
You can meet so many different artists out there who are just desperate to get their stuff out there. And film's a great way to do that. It's almost necessary in the industry that we're on with social media, with the internet. Video is just really important. And so what you're saying over there, I really like hearing that. We need to hear more of it.
Well, I'll say that I like hearing you guys and need to hear more of you guys because, as we discussed, I'm like 400 years older than both of you, I'm pretty sure.
Up.
And so what I love is hearing young people, frankly, that are still passionate, like to the max about the creative side of filmmaking. Because for me, yes, I get to like whip the creative tools around every now and then, but I'm mostly like, trying to stay busy and doing the things that we've talked about in terms of, and what I get from Filmhound and your podcast is interviews with people that are just, so passionate and focused that it helps remind me that that's such a huge part of what we do. So thank you for that.
Well,
maybe it's that Denver's such a fountain of youth. Not only does it keep me and
right.
Julia young, because we keep getting called on the internet that we're like 16-year-olds.
We do.
We do.
Oh, no.
We do. Don't look at the comments. They're not productive. But I think it's what inspires us to think that in like 5 years, Denver is going to be like one of the premier markets, just because we're like from the ground up. We didn't need some Harvey Weinstein type. We didn't need massive amounts of money to build something. So maybe that's the question I think that you, old wise old sage, could answer better than anybody else. What do you think is going to be us in 5 years?
I have to say that I would not paint the most optimistic picture in terms of improvement. I have a generally I feel like in my tenure in Denver, I've seen things. I don't want to speak for the industry. I'm not as dialed in as I wish I was with a lot of groups or anything like that. So I can speak from my personal experience in that. When I first came to Denver, I had I knew of multiple films that were going on. I remember one summer there was like 5 movies on at one time. Everybody was working on something awesome. And then the next summer I got to be on another movie and it was great. And then maybe it was my performance as a crew member or what, but I haven't gotten called for a movie since 2016. And that's fine. I can handle it. But I just in general haven't heard of that many movies either.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw a couple of years in a row of like, oh yeah, this is picking up. Okay, we're doing this. And then it's like, oh well, I guess there was there's like a worldwide pandemic for a good chunk of time too. But I don't have an, and I also have to say one thing that really depressed me about the future of our industry in the Hollywood way was the way that the Hateful Eight kind of played out in the media anyway. Like I first of all think that it's outrageous that they were able to set that movie in Wyoming. I love the film is great, but
finally you are saying something that it is a personal pet peeve of mine.
Just change the word.
It is a personal pet peeve of mine. They shot it in Telluride. Telluride is 8 hours away from Wyoming. Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't want to rip on Tarantino movie. That's what I came here to do. But I will say that Hateful Eight was a big budget Hollywood film that came through here, and I didn't get to work on it or anything like that. But I was kind of like, watching it as well as I could and trying to be aware of it. And what I didn't get a good sense of it is when they left town. I don't feel like they told that we told the story of the economic benefit very well, and then when the movie comes out and it's set in Wyoming and Colorado's getting no publicity for it either, it's hard to be like, oh, I mean that's a big movie.
So
that's Tarantino, man.
So disappointing.
Well, it's unfortunate because we employed lots of people and lots of people got jobs, but you're absolutely right. The angle that the media took with the story of it shot in being Telluride is that we gave them certain $1 million, the Colorado government gave them certain millions of dollars, and then Telluride got a negative benefit out of it because they got less dollars per the amount of money that Colorado allocated. So it's really stressful.
And here's the other thing too. Honestly, like when I heard the Hateful Eight was coming to town, I was like, oh, that's super awesome. But like I didn't really try to get a job on it, because I'm not a union guy. I'm like a little freelancer, right? And so it didn't impact me like in a job way. It was more like a coolness factor, Hollywood coolness factor. And so I would say that same thing is going to apply on the other end, right? Like suddenly, if Fast and the Furious 11 wants to come here, it's still not going to hire me. It's going to be cool though, but it's not going to really change me as a filmmaker too much, Right. And so when you're talking about like where our industry's going and things like that, I can be like, yeah, I have like a really negative view of our country and everything it's doing and taxes and all those things. So I think for those reasons, like film is going to be lousy, but I think my career is going to be great. I think I'm super invested in what I'm doing. I've never been more excited about the groups, the people I'm working with, and the different things that I can do. And so even if it's not Fast and the Furious 11, like I have no plans to get out of this business. I love.
Yeah.
I mean, every job is thrilling. It goes back to that 30 minutes with the white walls. It's like, how are you going to make this look good and not make people throw up when they watch it?
Well, thank you so much for joining us on our show. You can join us every Wednesday night on YouTube and on Spotify. We are a podcast now for some of you guys who don't know. So make sure to listen to us as well as watch to us. And make sure to follow Chris. Chris, where are your handles?
Oh, thanks. I'm on Instagram at mile.high.films. And you can check out my website, milehighfilms.com, to see samples of my work. You can check out Race America on that site. And get in touch with me through that as well. And thank you guys for having me on today. It's been awesome to chat with you. I really appreciate it.
Well, we just love talking to you because you had all the cool stuff that we just learned about, and you didn't depress us at all.
Oh, well.
Not at all.
So wherever you are or whatever you're doing, if you're not watching local films, stop
and support local film.
Right? And no matter if you are in Sterling, if you are in Trinidad, Telluride, all the little mountain towns, or somewhere cool in Colorado. No matter what, just remember to stay creative, Colorado.